Happy Friday everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name's Olivia and this week I'm going through the process from creating a design in Canva and uploading it to Cricut Design Space so we can cut it out and make a stencil. The end product is going to be this really modern minimalist door hanger and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. So this is a great option for you if you have the Canva Pro account. Now, I really believe that the Canva Pro account is worth the money. They have so many great features that I use every day. And in next week's video, I'm going to go over the features that they give you when you have a Pro account. This is not sponsored at all. I just really love this program and what I can create with it. So if you're maybe new to Cricut and already have experience using Canva, this is a great option for you. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, once we have a good idea of what we are going to design, we'll go ahead and open Canva. It just opens to the home page. And we're going to go up to the right hand corner and click Create a Design. Let's just use Instagram posts. That's a nice, easy shape to work with. And then we're going to go and add our text on the left hand side. Just click any text and we can worry about the font later. And we'll just type in our design. Make it nice and big so we can see it. And now we're just going to play around and decide which text we want to use. I like the idea of a calligraphy font. So a nice thing about Canva is you can actually go up into the search bar at the top and type in calligraphy, and that'll sort all the fonts, narrow down a little bit what you're looking for. So let's play around. And just click through some of them and see what we like. For a door hanger especially, I'm not looking for anything too thin. A, it's harder to stencil, and B, it's hanging on your door, so you want people to be able to read it from far away. So I'm just looking for something simple. Let's try this one. Oh, I like this one. It's bold enough, still simple. That period's a little too big, I think. Okay, let's come back to that one. I also really like Joshiko on Canva. I like that one too. Okay, I have an idea. I think I like the other one better, but we're going to make that period a little smaller. So I'm just going to backspace on that, and then create another text box the same way we did before, and just type in a period. Let's just make it the same font. It doesn't really matter if it's centered or in the middle of the page. It just kind of bothers me when it's not. Okay, I'm liking that better. If you select them all, you can go up to Group, and that will put them together so you can resize them at the same time. Okay. There. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now what we're going to do is go up to the download button, and we're just going to make sure that our file type is PNG. And we also need to click transparent background. this is going to give us the ability to cut it out on our Cricut program. And then we're going to go download. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and open up Cricut Design Space. Look at those cuties. Okay, Design Space is where we're actually going to upload our design from Canva. So we're going to go up into the top right hand corner and select New Project. And over to the left to Upload at the bottom. So we're going to click on Upload Image and Browse. And we're going to find the file that we saved. It's usually in Downloads, but you could have it saved somewhere else. There it is. So there's a complex design, so this has a lot of detail, a lot of colors, and not a lot of contrast. It's hard for the program to pick up. Moderately complex is somewhere in the middle, simple details and color with a good contrast between the subject and background. And simple is what we're going to select here, high contrast colors with transparent or monochrome background. You can't get more high contrast than this. Okay, so we have it selected and we're going to go down and click continue. And there it is. So there's our design there. Over on the left hand side, it looks like you can maybe do this through the Cricut Design Space program as well. I've just always done it through Canva. I find it much more user friendly. And here we have two options, cut image or print then cut. We're going to select cut image and upload. And here it is here. We're going to select and add to canvas. And there is our design. Okay, we had settled on 9 inches, so you can either manually click and drag the corner to resize it to 9 inches, or you can go up here to the width and just type in 9, enter. There we go. Okay, once we have it sized appropriately, we're going to go up to the top and click the green button, Make It. This is just going to show you how your project is lying on the mat. To the left we have number of copies. This is just if you have a bigger project, it's going to show you more than one mat. Material size and mirror. We don't have to worry about mirror for the stencil film because it's just going to cut on the top and lay on one way. It doesn't have to be inverted. Okay, now we're going to go down to continue. It's going to find your device. Okay, and this next step here is where you're going to select your material. So if you click Browse Materials, here is a whole bunch of materials that the Cricut cuts. I already have my stencil film favorited. Here we go, Stencil Vinyl. Okay, and step number 2 is just telling you the tools you need. So you don't need anything in clamp A, which is usually a pen. In clamp B, I already have my fine point blade loaded, and it's just telling you to go ahead and load the mat and it'll start cutting. So I have my stencil film here. When you're cutting it for the mat, if you forget how wide it is, you can just hover over the mat here and this will tell you. So it looks like I need to cut it 4.5 inches by 10-ish inches. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm just going to roll out my stencil vinyl and I'm going to cut approximately 4.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Then I'm going to apply it to my mat. Make sure it's nice and stuck down. I'm just going to set my mat in, making sure it's tucked under the guides. I'm going to hit my feed button. And we're going to start cutting. I'm just going to press the feed button again to take it out. And remember, when you're taking materials off your mats, you always want to bend the mat, not the material. So you want to take it off like this. And here we have our stencil. And now I'm just going to get my weeding tool. You can either use something like this or something like this. I'm just going to take off the excess to make it easier to work with, and that way you can use this another time. And remember that this is a stencil, this isn't vinyl. So you're looking for the negative space, not the actual words. So you're going to be taking out the letters. So I'm going to start with my period. And you're just going to make sure that your any holes in the letters stay down where they're supposed to be, because it's hard to put them back on perfectly straight. If they're stubborn, sometimes I just use my weeding tool just to hold them down while I pull them over. Alrighty, now we have a stencil. Make sure everything's laid flat. We're going to go on to our next step. Okay, now we're going to take our transfer tape or contact paper, lay it down over top. Just try and make sure that it's a little bit bigger than your stencil. A little bit of a crease in here. Try not to have too many bubbles, especially if you have lots of small spaces. Okay. Push it down. You can use a scraper or a credit card or something. I don't really have anything. I'm just going to use this. Okay. You're going to then take your stencil off the backing until you have it on your transfer tape. And you're going to place it where you'd like it on your sign. Now it's really nice. I don't know if you can see. Everything is translucent, so you can see your edges and you can see exactly where it's going to be. So I just play around with it a little bit till I'm happy. I also like to hold it up and just kind of squint at it. Very scientific, I know. Okay, that failed horribly, but we can lay it down again. I'm now going to take some Mod Podge and use that as my first layer. I just use this old brush. And this just gets stippled on. And then you can kind of smooth it down afterwards. Make sure you're in all those little nooks and crannies. Okay, and when you're happy that everything's sticking down, we'll let that dry. Doesn't take very long. Alright, we'll come back in a minute. Okay, I'm going to make sure that my Mod Podge is pretty dry. It can still be a little tacky. And I'm just using acrylic paint, black. So you can use a brush or you can use a sponge. I like to use, I just have makeup sponges on hand, but you can use any sponge, nothing with too big of holes or spaces in it. Okay, now I'm just going to start working in very thin layers. I just cut off just the tip of the sponge so I have a smaller area to work with. And I'm just going to take some and dab off the excess. And then we're just going to start going to town. Okay, we're just going to make sure we're right into those edges so everything comes off nice and clean. Okay, we're going to leave that first coat to dry and we're going to come back to it. And now back for the second coat. I just snip off the top. And same thing, just work in thin layers. And then just take a peek and see if you can still see the wood through it. I don't, so I think 2 coats will be good. So we'll let that dry and come back again. And now I'm just carefully peeling back the stencil, making sure not to pull anything up. So if you use the Mod Podge and the paint runs under the stencil at all, like it did here, chances are the Mod Podge did as well. So it's really easy to take something like a little flathead screwdriver or something and just scrape the paint away. I hope you can see there's a bit of bleeding here on the L's. Mostly on the L's and the period. So I'm just gonna take a little flathead screwdriver and just work really carefully to get rid of that. Or if you had painted behind the words, you can just take a little brush and touch up with your background color paint. And that's it. Thank you so much, guys, for spending your Friday with me. If you enjoyed this type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. I really enjoy doing these types of tutorials for you, and I just like creating stuff. So thank you so much for spending your Friday with me, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye!